welcome to Gina Brown Podcast, Smart Wisdom. My name is Gina Brown, your host, and I am so excited to have you join us on our next episode on today. Oh, you're in for a really good treat. Can't wait to invite and introduce our next guest. But before I do, I want to remind you to make sure that you stay connected with this podcast and make sure you like, subscribe, and share. All right, y'all. Today we have Kiya Ware. She is the CEO of Amplify You, and we are going to go into all the things that you need to do in order to get amplified and so much more. Welcome to the show, Kiya.
Thank you, Miss Gina, for having me. Hi, world.
Absolutely. Yes. So you are the CEO and founder of Amplify You, and you also are really passionate about helping in other entrepreneurs with startup companies. I'd like you to share how you got started in this whole space of building companies.
Well, that is a great question. I really like that you asked me how I got started because it was family oriented that really got me started. I am also the founder of a nonprofit called Boost for Children Incorporated, and it's inspired by my children. I see so many of brown people that have visions and the thoughts of being entrepreneurs, and they just don't know how to get started. And so that's when Amplify You comes into place, because just what we do. We amplify you, we make your visions, your dreams tangible. We make it a tangible experience where you can touch it, you can see it, it becomes reality you know so I think the thing that drove me the most was leaving something for my children, one, and two, being impactful in the world where people can actually do what they're thinking, and not just say what they're thinking, but actually make it reality, if that makes sense, Miss Jean.
Yeah, so you help them put a plan together?
Yes, I start off, if you have a business vision, but
Mhm.
you don't know how to start up. That's what startup is. You get your EIN numbers, you get your email account. I build a foundation for you. I build a whole portfolio just for you, that is geared towards you and towards your business, and it meshes together. If that is okay to
I
say.
Yeah, I know that it is really challenging because there's so many pieces to getting your business aligned and starting, and it can be overwhelming. And there are nonprofits to help in your local area, but the fact that you have a passion to help individuals, get started, I love that. It's like, oh my gosh, because people need someone to call with a face and a name that they can trust, to get these things in place properly without wasting money that you don't need for stuff.
Right.
There's
Yes,
like
ma'am.
certain things you need and certain things you don't need, but you don't know what you need, so you need help. Right?
Right. That's when I come in. Hey, amplify you.
Seriously, oh my gosh, because it just goes into all these things. So that's what you do there. And then you also started this because you said family is really important to you. So how does your family interconnected with your business or your foundation?
Well, my children are definitely my passion. I've been homeless with my children, sleeping in my truck, and I made it fun for them because they didn't know that we were homeless, but we were. and I just made them feel like we were in the world and we can make choices and do things that we decided to do to, keep us comforted. And for me, because I grew up in foster care and I didn't have a lot of family, my children meant the world to me. So the very first business that I ever even thought of was Boost for Children Incorporated, and that's my non for profit that I started in New York. And it was it's a family strengthening center, but it was geared for the kids. And it's not a daycare. It's not something you could just drop your children off and then don't think about it. Like, the parents are involved. There are field trips, there are things that mentorships and different programs where mom, dad, auntie, or whoever is raising this wonderful king and queen coming up in the world, this it's geared for them. It's to strengthen everybody. And so I realized that a non-for-profit is great. I want one in all three time zones, right? But I also realized that I have gifts and skills, and I've been writing proposals to get grants for a long time, and I'm just now realizing my worth in the world, if that makes sense. And so I have to leave something for my children outside of insurance or what have you. I want them to have something that is still connected to mom, and not just connected to mom because, oh, my mom would want me to do this, but connected to me because you're still spreading me all through the world. And it's not just me. It's not just my legacy, because I have mentorships and I have programs where people are connected and networking with me to build for other people, including adults. And so the biggest thing for me, where it came from my children, were I gotta leave something for them. My
Right.
I just recently lost my mother and my grandmother. My mother didn't have insurance. Insurance is important, people. And my grandmother was the wife of a military man, so she was taken care of. However, um, I don't have anything from them. I don't have a legacy to give
Mm.
to my children from them. So it's very important for me that Amplify You goes global, goes worldwide, because when I do take my last breath, I want my children to be able to carry it on. And you know
Right.
what I'm saying? And continue to amplify each individual in their own way. It's our goal to catapult people into their greatness, Miss Gina. That's our
Oh, it
goal.
it totally is. It totally is. And leaving a legacy is like absolutely everything. I want to talk to you a little bit more about your grants, but let's do that after the break. I want
Okay.
to zone in on, what kids are learning at school or not learning at home, and how Boost for Children can help that, bridge that gap.
I'm with it. See you after the break.
No.
Oh, I gotta come back.
And we're back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are here with guest Kiya Ware, CEO of Amplify You, and we are having a conversation about her businesses and how she impacts others, not only in her direct family, but also in her community. So, welcome back.
Hey, welcome back, world.
Yes, yes, yes. So, about the boost for children, like the skills that kids are not getting at school or home. Tell us a little bit more about how that is a need, a big need.
For one, there are a lot of children that have not been an hour out of where they have been born. You know, you have children that may go to Panama City and you live in Georgia or something like that, and you haven't experienced anything outside of an hour within your area, you know. And so Boost for Children definitely grabs you and takes you to see other things. It allows you to experience other cultures, food, you know, the way that they get through everyday life, you know, because living in New York and going down to Georgia is completely different, you know. So,
Mhm.
you know, Boost for Children helps with that. That's one thing Boost for Children does. Also, Boost for Children educates. You know, like I'm tapped in to the governmental laws and the foundations that they have in whichever city I'm in or state that I'm in, I would rather say. At the same token, it's like if I can give for an example, there's a rule that children can in Texas, because I'm in the DFW area in Fort Worth, Texas, but that does not stop you from connecting with me all over the world. But here in Texas, they have a law to where children can quit school at 16 years old, but they don't give them life skills. They don't teach them anything to help them be a productive individual. So what happens is we have our school prison pipeline and Boost for Children. I am thanking God that is that gap to bridge those, because we do not need our brown people. I'm not racist by a long shot. I have so many Caucasian friends, but I need us to pay attention to our brown children and our brown community. The school prison pipeline is very great and horrible in each state. And
Mm.
so, Boost for Children helps educate parents on how to help our children get high school diplomas. And if we can't get the high school diploma through the public school, then what we do is we help we get in job corps, because we need our children to be successful and not
Mhm.
just in our house, but we need them to be productive young adults so they can be a productive adult. So that's one of the big
Is
things.
Job Corps still alive and well?
Yes, ma'am. It is. It really is. Some of them ask you to pay a small copay. However, some of them, the majority of them, not some of them, the majority of them are really geared to doing what they did long time ago, years ago, where you know you come in, you get a trade, you go to school, you get a diploma, and you
Right.
also come out with that trade. So you're in 9 times out of 10, you have a job. So
Right.
Boost for
That part.
Children is linking you with that, because our children now with social media is interesting, you know.
Yeah,
So, you know, like we want them to be successful. Like
for sure.
being on the streets is not beneficial to anybody, not
No.
even them.
We want them to want a desire to take care of themselves, and not rely on someone else to take care of them. And we want them to be educated in a way where they can contribute, right, to society in some kind of
Definitely.
good way,
Definitely.
whether it's medical or educational or your own
Right,
business,
you just do
whatever.
your part. Whatever your gift is, you do your part. But you can't be a productive adult if you're not a productive child. And you know, society has it set up where you have all of these different things that you're awarded. You know, I got paddled in school when I was in school. That's not like that now, you know.
No, no. I mean,
It takes
back
a
then, you
village. And
you couldn't, like, try to sue your parents and divorce your parents and ridiculous things like that. So,
yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
it's all upside down in my opinion. What we would say out of order is out of order. So,
Amen.
we need
In my
we
opinion as well, Miss Gina. In my opinion as well.
we need to get some order up in here, up in here. I don't know.
Up in
So,
here. You heard her. We said what we said.
and these laws are just that is a conversation. That is a conversation. But I know I'm gonna switch gears on these grants because grants can really be an impactful way to enhance someone's nonprofit. But I do have a little bit of understanding that grants are not always for a nonprofit. You can request a grant or apply for a grant if you have a project, something
That's
that's going
right.
to benefit for education or community. Or so, can you share, maybe three nuggets that you could really like, what you found with grant writing or grants, or people I'm sure are curious.
Most definitely. Just to piggyback, grants are not just for nonprofits. You have single women, not woman, single women grants. You know what I'm saying? You have, and it's not color differentiated. I'm sorry, race. It's not race differentiated. You know, you have grants where this is your first business. You have there are so many grants in so many states. It's just predicated on the state that you're in and what type of business you have. If you're a first time business owner, there are grants for you. If you're a male, Black, Caucasian, indifferent, Hispanic, what have you, they have grants for you as well as for the female side as well. They have grants if you are a hairstylist. They have grants if you want to open a gas station. There are grants for you. And that's what Amplify You does. You come, you sit down, you consult, you talk with me, and I'm going to find the best grant to apply for you for. And then we're going to do what we can to get you approved. Grants you do not have to pay back. It's not a loan. A grant is just what it is. It is a grant. It is somebody that blesses you with finances that you do not have to pay back. However, there are stipulations in each grant. In most grants, you have to put at least 75% of those monies into the business. And as long as you're able to show that 75%, guess what? Hint, hint, that 25% go in your pocket as well as your staff. So you capitalize even though it is a nonprofit, or even if it is going to your barber shop or your gas station, your grocery store, your laundromat.
Hmm. Hmm. What do you see that's a common mistake that people overlook when they apply or filling out an application? Have you had any maybe things that
They're
you
not set up. Their foundation is not set up. They don't have a plan. The main thing that gets you unapproved is you don't know what you want to do. You have to have a budget. If you're asking these people for 50,000, 100,000, $1 million, you got to show at least 75% of that on paper on what you're gonna do with these people's money. Because why am I
Mhm,
giving it to you?
mhm,
So I feel like the biggest mistake is people feel like, oh, I'm a new business owner, but I don't have to. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. You do. You have to have a foundation. You have to have a clear mindset. And if you don't have that, that's why you contact me so we can get things itemized and we can get things formulated so you can get approved and so you can do the things that you want to do for you, your family, and your community.
mhm, mhm. That's great. What is the grant range? Is there a certain dollar amount that is common, or does it just depend?
It really does depend. It depends on if it's a state, if it's federal, or if it's a local grant, because all of those grants have different increments as far as finance wise,
Mhm,
approval, for finance wise. And it just really depends on what it is that you're trying to do. Most non-for-profits, they go for the higher dollar amount, so they're more federal, so
Mhm.
you have to have all of your ducks in a row. You have to have, if you've been in operation for a while, you have to have your financials.
Mhm.
You have to have somewhere for these finances to go. A lot of the grants do background checks, but the majority of them do not. But it
Mhm.
depends on the amount that you're asking for, in all
Mhm.
honesty. And it
Mhm.
depends on what you're trying to do. If you're just trying to do some cosmetic work onto your building, that's a local grant, and then we'll look into local grants that are not as extensive as a federal grant. The
Mhm.
state grants, your state has an associated amount of money. They have a set amount of money that they can give to certain businesses to do XYZ. But all of it revolves around you actually having all of your ducks in a row. You have to have a
Mhm.
foundation. You have to have a plan. You have to have a mission. You have to have a vision. You have to have bylaws.
Mhm.
Like these things you have to have in order to get that grant approved for you.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great wisdom there, great nuggets that I'm sure some people, I know personally, people are intimidated around the whole grant conversation, and I get asked, do I know any grant writers? And it's like I was like, well,
You
I
do
I do now. Like Kaya, call Kaya, she can help you out. It's so tedious because all I remember is like just a lot of information that you have to provide, and it can be overwhelming, and people just say, forget it, I'm not doing all the paperwork.
Right. And you're right, Miss Gina. It is very tedious. It is. And so that is the reason why I guess God blessed me with that, because everybody is not blessed with those gifts. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
it is a very tedious process because each state wants something different, you
Right.
know. And when you work out of all of the states, you know what I'm saying? I personally would have to look up their bylaws, look up what their requirements are, and all of that stuff, and tie it in to your business. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Just to make sure that you're approved, because that's the goal, right? To be approved for the grant, to actually do what you say you're going to
Absolutely.
do.
That's what people want to get approved. Absolutely. Do you recommend that people apply to more than one grant at a time? Is that a good idea or does it matter?
It is a very good idea due to the fact that um, this grant may be set for a certain amount of people for a certain amount of monies. And if
Mhm.
I'm asking if the grant is giving $5,000 to each startup business, we're just using this as a ballpark, right? If
Mhm.
this local grant has a cap of $25,000 and they're giving $5,000 to each startup business, but here it is, I have written a proposal for 25 to $30,000. Obviously, this grant is not the grant for me because they're only going to give me, if they even give me, the $5,000. So I do suggest that you apply for more than one grant at a time, due to the fact of approval and what it is that you're requiring. What's
Mhm.
the need of the business?
Okay. Fantastic, fantastic. Well, we are just about running low on time here. So I need to ask you a couple of questions before we go.
Yes,
One
ma'am.
is, when have you used wisdom or had a wise choice or someone gave you good wisdom? Can you think of a time or a decision you made?
Oh my gosh, wisdom has been imparted to me all throughout my life. But I recently, we'll go with something more recent. I was recently given the wisdom of, and I'll just say the sentence for you, the statement rather. I will not give my services away for free. I'm not in this to give my
That
services
is
away.
very
And
wise.
that was because I've always wanted to help people, and that was probably the best wisdom that I could have gotten. And not for nothing, my time is valuable. You know what I'm saying? The work that I do is beyond. Hit
Right.
me, you'll see. But that was the wisdom that I got, Miss Jenna, is I will not. I mean Gina, Miss Gina. She told me that earlier, people. Miss Gina, that's the wisdom that I got earlier, was to not give my services away.
That's great. That's great. And how can people reach you? How can people connect with you? They're
Right,
itching right now. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I have to work with Miss Kaya. I have to."
right? Because not to work with me is like, okay. So you can reach me at Amplify You. That is Amplify, capital U, 21 at gmail.com. Submit your requests. Tell me what you got going. We'll set appointments. We'll figure it out. I'm also on LinkedIn. My last name is Ware, Ware. And my name is Nakaya. I blame my mama because she spelled it the way she spelled it, but it's Nakeeyta. So I am Nakaya Ware. I am the CEO and founder of Amplify You and Boost for Children Incorporated. Hit me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for
Thank
being here,
you.
and we appreciate you. And we'll see you real soon.
I
So now,
appreciate you, Miss Gina. Thank you so much for this platform. This is amazing what you are doing. I am so excited to be connected, not just networking, but to be connected with such an amazing woman of valor. So thank you, Miss Gina. I appreciate you.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, y'all. You know what's next. It is time for At the Table. At the Table. If you've
At the
listened to any
table.
if you've listened to any of my broadcasts in the past, you know what At the Table is. If you are new, let me introduce. As you can see, these two images, you have the table on the right is like a family dining room table. You eat dinner with your family, and it is really important to have your children, your if you're in tight, whoever is in the house, your spouse, your significant other, the children, to come and eat at the table, talk at the table. Put your smartphones and cell phones and tablets and laptops away. Come out of the bedroom, wherever you're eating, come to the table. We want to hear what's happening in the day to help you. Um, the family talking together just helps naturally. And when you do that for a period of time, it improves your communication skills, it improves your listening skills, it improves your deductive reasoning and overcoming obstacles. It just helps along the way. And when you do this long enough, as you get in the workplace, you go to higher education, you end up in the other side of the table, as you see on the screen, which is the boardroom table. Yes, the boardroom table. So as you connect with the boardroom, obstacles come up. You have to raise your hand. You have to say what you feel, and these things are not always the easiest thing to do. But you've been practicing for like the last 15, 20 years at home, right? Well, like not 20, but you know what I mean, for a long time. And so when you build these skills up, it's really important to me to emphasize families to rethink about going back to the table at home and eating meals together. And I want to encourage you to share your story. Email them to me at ginabrownpodcast@gmail.com. And when you do that, your story may be read on the broadcast. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. I look forward to hearing your stories and sharing the impact, because iron sharpens iron. And when you send in your stories to say what it's improved, what it was like, what it's like now, you'll see the improvement. It'll help another family down the road. That's what we have. So until next time, thank you for having me and our guest today. My name is Gina Brown, your host of Gina Brown Podcast Smart Wisdom. And bye for now. Please remember to share, like, and subscribe to the podcast.